All right. This is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon. All right, we're getting down to the brass tacks. As an old Bible preacher, radio Bible preacher J. Vernon McGee said, "This is Christianity and shoe leather. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is Christianity. We're getting down to brass tacks now here, folks." Okay, so this is just got a shooting from the hip right here, talking from my heart, so just bear with me. Some of you say you like it. Well, okay. So this is the couple. Living Traditions is the name of their channel. Buying our dream property 1,300 miles away, how we did it. Now they have, that's the thumbnail there without them in it, just that map. Buying property long distance is the thumbnail, and then below it it's going to say buying our dream property 1,300 miles away, how we did it. They came from Phoenix, Arizona. So they sold a house in Phoenix. So they came out with some bucks. Now, very few people are doing that. Most of the people we're running across are going to need help just to stay alive, just to survive. These people may need help to survive. Everybody's going to need help. That's my point. See that picture behind me again? The bridge. These people are not, I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how much you've invested. I don't care how smart you think you are. You're going to need a bridge. You're going to need other people, okay? Mr. Davis, classic example. Oh yeah, it's just a story. No, it's not just a story. It's real life. Lights out. I'm referring to the Davis Ranch. Mr. Davis had everything they needed for 25 families, and only 25 families, or no more than 25 families. They had enough stuff for 10 years. Well, guess what? They didn't last 6 months. Okay, most of them were dead. So we need bridges. We need community, and you know, I'm just saying, the whole time they're doing this video here, they're picking ticks off of them. Well, you know, you need to develop your property so that you don't have a lot of ticks, and there's ways to do that. And I wrote on their thing, go to that video, and I have a comment on there if you're interested in the tick situation. But anyway, this is what we need to do, and that is, now they came out, they bought, I don't know, maybe they bought 20 acres, maybe they bought 40, maybe they bought 80, who knows. But what we need to do is, instead of everybody piddling away their resources on 1 acre, 5 acres, 2 acres, 10 acres, we need to get together and buy larger chunks of land. And some of you people, and I'm just saying there's some people listening to me that have the ability to buy large pieces of land. And some of them are intending to do that. You know, I've mentioned before George out in California, you know, he understands. He's looked at 300 to 500 acre properties. If he can get the backing, he'll buy them and develop them, and he'll do an awesome job of it. So Sue is coming out. She understands land. She knows money. She knows banking, blah, blah, blah. She's going to be a big help. So some of you people coming out here, there's another man en route, Ron, and not going to, you know, I don't deal in a lot of details because it's not my place to, but wherever he ends up, or the Porcupine Man, wink, you know, so whatever, John, you know, he writes on my channels, you know, shout out to John. You know, if you can buy 20 acres and pay cash for it and have enough to live on, great, that's great. If someone can swing getting a larger property, and there's another person who's contacted me from California, and has supported me, you know, if you can buy 40 acres, 80, go in with somebody else and buy, instead of buying 80 yourself and then buying 40, buy 200 acres, you know, enough where you have a house on it already. I've talked about this multiple times before, but you buy a property that has everything on it to live on the property. Buying bare land is not a good use of your resources. It is not wise in my estimation, and people that have to do it are going to pay a very, very, very high price. Okay, in this video right here, this couple, about 3/4 of the way through, talk about a family that bought a house The realtor said it was livable. They got there. It had not been lived in for 30 years. I went to look at one. I wanted to go look at one because it was a good deal. You know, Jersey and I had looked at it instead of this place. And a realtor called me and said, I went and looked at that. And she said it would take probably $30,000 just to make it livable. So tack on, and it wouldn't have qualified for, USDA housing at all because it has to be livable, period. Now, that brings me to one other point, and I'll just throw this in here. If any of you are on fixed income, retirement, get in touch with me. Now, a lot of you don't have good credit. Well, I didn't think I had any credit. I qualified for a house, so at least this is a place that is being occupied by a couple of people who have some things in common, In fact, I'd like to get Jersey in on this situation here, this issue here, because, we are like-minded in a lot of things. The old thing of, everybody's got some strengths and weaknesses, plus and minuses, good points, bad points. That's what I've always said, and that's true. She has a lot of them. No, no, just kidding. But, rubbing shoulders. There's friction and stuff. So, oh well, deal with it. Move on, or grow up or move on. One of the two. So, not a problem. I understand that. I figured that going in. So I knew that going in. I didn't figure it might happen. I knew it would happen. So, anyway, big deal. But point is that this is a property. It's only 2 acres, right? But it's got a lot of buildings. It's got a lot of resources here, and could be expandable. Could be a headquarters of sorts. Which, anywhere I am, I consider headquarters. Now, that's the other thing I wanted to bring up is that my point there was that if you're on fixed income, at least consider the possibility that 2 of you or 3 of you going together, they don't care. They don't care if we're married. They don't care if 2 guys say we're gay, or 2 gals say we're longtime partners. Big deal. They don't care. They look at your credit, boom, if it's okay, if it can squeak by, if they can tweak it, they'll tweak it, blah, 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 blah. Here's your house. Suddenly you have a place, instead of living in a dumpy garbage apartment, which is where Jersey was, $500 a month. Now she's paying $475 for a whole farm. Nice house, air conditioning, barn, huge barn, root cellar, tornado shelter, paddocks, fenced yard, corral, blah, 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 garage, 2-car garage, shed, another garage, and a tool shed, and a well, power, phone, the whole 9 yards. Okay, so enough said on that. That is a possibility for some of you people that are out there living hand to mouth. If you have retirement, if you're on fixed income, the feds love it. The feds are giving you the money, and they'll freaking give you a house. Deal, that's just simple. That's the way things are. That's the way it is, okay? All right, so the next point is that some of you people that are out there coming from California, East Coast, West Coast, I don't care. If you can buy a property that's a little bit bigger, or let's say it has... we saw several with houses and a mobile home. So if you could buy a place that has a house and a mobile home, or some place for someone else to live, then you have servants' quarters or a quarter, some place for someone else. So, and that's, I'm looking, I've felt for many years now that I needed to, and this is interesting because where I'm at right now, exactly right now, is on a direct line. Like you could put a laser, a straight edge on where I was in Kansas when I felt the Lord tell me that I needed to go toward Bolivar. Well, you put the line on that, where we were living, Bolivar, and here it's on a direct line, like St. Paul and his missionary journeys, or the move of the gospel westward. It's on a direct line to Ava, and Ava is like the crosshairs of the Ozark Plateau, and that's where I believe I should be. So all I'm saying is, Sue has on her heart, Ava area. Unfortunately, I don't know, maybe unfortunately, people have ended up getting snookered into going to Arkansas, and that doesn't look like it's turning out good for hardly anybody. I don't know. There's some really good people there. No, don't get me wrong, but there's one dear sister there that I have not heard from for longer than I want to say. It's been 3 weeks now. I'm not happy about it. Very, very concerned. So, about 3 weeks now, I have not heard anything from her. So, not good. Not good. So get, what I'm saying there is that if, you can locate near Ava, find a big enough property. There's an off-grid farm there. Oh my gosh, phenomenal property. Anyway, have a little trailer there for headquarters. Got to have good reception. If you're wanting to accomplish anything in this whole movement, you've got to have some internet capability. So, I mean, you can live off grid and go into Walmart or whatever you call it, McDonald's, and upload stuff. Pastor Joe does. He's living off grid. You can do it. But if you're living off grid, you've got to have water. You've got to have shelter. You've got to have shelter. You've got to have water. And yes, you can collect water, and that's feasible. And you can haul water. That's not fun in the wintertime, but, everything can be overcome. But you got to be around people. So if we can, here's my last point is, if we can just get enough people together and get a property, just one property for starters, 10 acres, 20 acres, 40, whatever, and get, this is a sharp couple there, and get a place where we can start having, where did Chris go? Where we can have a soft landing place, soft landing places for people to gather to, okay? So that's the thing, is we've got to do that, okay? This is 2 acres. There's enough room here for a couple RVs, a couple of cabins. I mean, it's big enough. Now, would the neighbors appreciate it? Maybe not, but too bad. It's not their property. There's a big barn, there's a garage. Something could be done with this. I doubt that it's ever going to happen because of, personality issues and whatnot, but, whatever. So the other thing is that, just SLS, soft landing spots. We need to have at least one. Because what's happened recently is Margot, Mel, Sue, all heading, Bonnie, Ron heading to Arkansas, and none of them have. Now, Sue's the only one that really has something basically prepared ahead of time. She had her fifth wheel down, and so she's got a place to go, and it's a nice fifth wheel. It's livable. The 2 gals, Margot and Mel, just got dumped into, basically horror stories. And Mel, I haven't heard from, so I'm extremely concerned about them. Shannon came out. He's been a huge blessing. Single guy, can live in his van anywhere. He came here, helped. He was a godsend to me here. So he's a blessing. So and he's got some work hopefully lined up down there, coming up with another gal that has been in touch with me, a sister, very dear sister. Been a big going to be a blessing to a lot of people. So anyway, that's the long and the short of it. We need places. We desperately need places where people can go and be safe and not get ripped off. I've seen so many people get ripped off. At least 2 people, I know verified one person's dead. I know I'm 99% sure another sister's dead. Or a slave somewhere in who knows where, what country and what part of the earth. But, bad things happen to good people. That's the whole story of the Tower of Siloam. Tower of Siloam falls, bad people die, yep, but good people die too. So that's happening. So don't be one of those good but dumb people. So this people here, Jesse and Alyssa, they're building for crying out loud, a timber frame home. And wow, yeah, they got a lot going on. But I don't know how in the world they did it, but they have bought, I don't know, $500,000 worth of equipment to build a $500,000 home, They put a heck of a lot of money into it. I was going to talk about Arctic coolers, but I'll do that some other time. But, something, refrigeration, something, get a good cooler. Arctic, see that? Arctic. Well, the bear, I think, was an A. So, but anyway, that's their logo, and they're better. They're a competitor with Yeti coolers. If anybody don't know that, don't buy Yeti. They just, buzzed off the NRA, and people are actually blowing their coolers up. So, just a little side note here. And that there's videos on comparing them, Yeti versus Arctic. Here's Yeti versus Grizzly. And here is dumb Yeti Cooler's latest company to cut ties with the NRA. And what happens to your Yeti cooler when you do that is people put about 10 pounds of Tannerite high explosive under it and pour it full of 5 gallons of gasoline and have a little talk about, the Second Amendment, and then blow it to hell and gone. So there goes a $300 cooler. They got the money to do it. More power to them. If they had the money to buy a Yeti cooler to start with, they got the money to do that. So anyway, don't buy Yeti. Don't buy Yeti. Buy Arctic or whatever. There's another cooler I just saw over here. Ozark something. Looks exactly the same. Maybe it's as good. Probably made in the Ozarks. So anyway, community, it has to happen. What we need to do, I'll talk about in the future, but one of the things is it's got to be a grassroots movement or highly organized crowd